and welcome to Gym Challenge number 9 Premier Challenge here at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera. I'm Dennis Geisler. With me, Arnie Wolf and Bidoof and Sprigatito. We're about to get into round number 1 of Swiss here today.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited.
I'm so excited for this. Not only is this our kind of last chance to get points before the end of the year, before our Big 5 tournament marathon, but this is also the last chance. It's a Premier Challenge. We can see some fun teams. Just why not? You know, we've got about a month and a half left in Regulation E, so I would not be surprised to see some wild strategies out there. And we are going to see some Pokemon return coming up. We got some Ursaluna action, classic Ursaluna, and we're getting right into it. It is Angel Torres and James Velasquez, and you're going to see Angel on the left, James is going to be on the right, and Angel carrying Arcanine, Hisui, Rillaboom, Iron Bundle, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Chenpao, and Fluttermane, while James is carrying Torkoal, Iron Hands, Lilligant, Hisui, Indeedee Female, Armarouge, and Ursaluna, Hisui / normal / whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I've played quite a bit of what James's team lining up is. Curious to see what the decision is. I think he probably... I think opting into Psy Spam here is not a terrible idea. To block some of the priority that's potentially coming at you from the other side. There's a lot of priority over there.
Now, this is a tough team, I'd say, for Angel, because when you play the team that you are, like Angel's team, you have to have a way to get rid of NVD, because otherwise they set up Trick Room, and you don't really want that. I mean, you could deal with it with Rillaboom, but generally the idea is to leave Fluttermane and then use Urshifu to get rid of the Armarouge. However, this is a Choice Scarf Urshifu, so it's going to move first. That does complicate things. And here we go with the leads.
James will take the Sun lead with Torkoal and Lilligant. Angel with the Fluttermane and the Chenpao.
That's a solid lead, I'd say, for Angel. You definitely put pressure right away because that Photosynthesis boost. We are going to see that Photosynthesis boost as special attack. So the good news, if you're James, is now this Chlorophyll is going to go first, so you can go for free after you use. The bad news, though, is that this Chenpao is going to be able to do at least something. It is Focus Sash, so it's going to live one hit. But there's not really much that Angel can do to just stop a full power eruption from coming out. I mean, you can go into Urshifu, but that's not going to really help you. It's going to at least do half.
Yeah, I guess the question is how much does that full power eruption do here? There's not a lot that will take it super happily, and don't have a way to overdo that. Fluttermane's going to swap out.
That is, I mean, I'm guessing you're going to go to Urshifu, but again,
it's Urshifu coming in.
You're going to take at least 50% here. Oh, okay, the Torkoal protects. Looks like a potential, maybe saw that switch out coming and go for Solar Blade / Close Combat. Yeah, there's a lot of options with Lilligant. And now that that Chenpao is down to 1 HP, that Eruption is going to do a lot better. I will be surprised if this Ice Spinner does not target this Lilligant, though. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Oh, goes for Crunch on the Torkoal. Okay. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it's not bad. I think you gotta focus on the Torkoal, but at the same time, Lilligant is just as much of a threat just because it's so fast and has a lot of options to knock out what you have.
You really have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I suppose you have the Urshifu coming in now who can Surging Strikes and get through the Sash, but I don't know if you're going to be able to knock it out regardless. That is, in the Sun, I'm not sure. Excuse me, I'm not sure how likely that is. And at this point, I think After You Eruption is pretty free for James's side.
Do have the option to go Solar Blade onto Urshifu, knowing that it will probably hit whatever really hard. I mean,
yeah, no reason not to, I suppose. And you do have the Torkoal, so you're not locked into anything.
No. Yeah, the Chenpao Protect. If that call was made, then that Solar Blade's going to be able to knock out this Urshifu, and there it is. Yeah, I think that was a safer bet.
It probably was a safer bet, and now you're bringing out either the Fluttermane who ran and hid. There is the Solar Blade. Love that animation. Ring the bell, one-hit knockout.
Yeah.
Urshifu will drop, first Pokemon to drop of the tournament. And it was the Flamethrower targeting the Chenpao.
That's smart.
Nice coverage there. And honestly, there's not a whole lot that the Chenpao could do that was immediately threatening to this duo.
No. I think right now, you're not in a terrible position right now with going into Rillaboom. I think the question now becomes, where does the Fake Out go? If it goes onto the Torkoal, that allows Lilligant to potentially go for a Sleep Powder / Close Combat / something. I mean, you could probably either Close Combat the Rillaboom or the Chenpao, and I would go for the Chenpao.
Finishing off the Chenpao is not a bad idea. Sleep Powder doesn't do a whole lot for you at this point unless you predict the Fluttermane coming in.
But that Terra Fire is both good and bad. It's good in the fact that you can now resist the Torkoal hits. However, you now are then susceptible to Sleep Powder on the turn after, and that could very well come into play, especially if you go for an Eruption and you know that. Sleep Powder could be a huge threat.
Chien-Pao will tag out, Flutter Mane coming back in.
And I mean, there's not much you can really do. You're kind of relying on this Terrifier Rillaboom to carry you through the rest of this Sun lead and then hope for the best in the back, but it is quite scary. And the Terra Ghost on Lilligant, just avoiding any potential fake out. I think that was the right call. You really, if you're James, you're thinking, I could just sweep with this lead. Let's prevent any potential fake out. And however, a fake out on the Torkoal would be solid, but then, I mean, this could actually end up solid in Angel's favor if the close combat was targeting the Chien-Pao, and there was no fake out involved, and the fake out does end up going to the Torkoal. But a lot has to happen to make that work.
Torkoal will protect, so Torkoal is safe this turn.
Doesn't even matter.
Lilligant does close combat into the Flutter Mane. That won't do anything. The high horsepower targeting the Torkoal, not a fake out, so we'll call it neutral on this turn.
Yeah.
Just the Flutter Mane switching out. In hindsight, I think that the Solar Blade into the Chien-Pao would have been safer. There was no way to overwrite the Sun. And
yeah,
if you're doing 1 damage, you're doing 1 damage.
I agree. I totally agree.
It's a very minor thing, but in that case, it probably would have picked up a lot of damage, if not the instant knockout onto the Flutter Mane.
Yeah.
And it would have been exactly the same up against the other one. Flutter Mane goes for the Protect.
I think that is very smart, because an After You Eruption is definitely incoming. The question is now, how much does Eruption do onto a Terrifier Rillaboom? And this Rillaboom is Assault Vest, so it is going to take less damage than normal.
Finally, we get to see that Terrifier, or the
okay.
After You Eruption. Doesn't do all that much. High horsepower, about half of Torkoal's HP. We'll heal up a little bit with that grassy terrain, but I could still be in 2-hit knockout range. That's going to be very close.
It is going to be a roll. But I think right now, if you are James, you're like, oh, you know what, I'm fine. I think the Sun does go out this turn, so I wouldn't actually be surprised to see a switch out. Oh, Grassy Glide. That does a lot of damage on the Lilligant.
This is a lot of damage. We did not pick up the knockout. The Sleep Powder onto the Flutter Mane. That will take it out of commission for a bit.
And there is that incoming Fire from Torkoal. Eruption.
First Sun turn.
Oh,
Torkoal, Earth Power.
Not quite enough.
Nice damage, but not enough.
Yeah.
Sunlight is gone now. Photosynthesis drops.
No, I was actually quite surprised to see that Sleep Powder. I thought the play there was to switch out your Torkoal so you can reset the Sun for Lilligant, and then go for a Solar Blade right onto the left side, so you get rid of either the Flutter Mane or if they switch into Chien-Pao, then that's gone as well.
I don't think we said this out loud. This is a Life Orb Flutter Mane. Not something we typically see.
It does have that Protect option, though, while carrying damage close to spec, so it's a good little sacrifice there. But the Grassy Glide definitely going to be able to pick up the knockout on Lilligant.
Will indeed. There goes the Terrascal there. Didn't really accomplish a whole lot, but didn't really need to accomplish a whole lot.
Yeah. Just ensuring you don't get faked out. But this Earth Power, I'm guessing, it's either Earth Power or Flamethrower.
Earth Power onto the Rillaboom. That should certainly pick up the knockout, and it does. So
I think there's one thing that's interesting to me. If you look at James's Iron Hands, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Iron Hands come out. But the reason I'm pointing this out is it does not have Heavy Slam. It is Drain Punch, it is Thunder Punch, and it is Ice Punch. So it is quite scary. But Armor Rouge comes in instead. It's not horrible at all, I think, because you could just... It's a little scary because you do have a potential hit from this Chien-Pao with Crunch, and that could do a lot of damage. But if you play your cards right, go for an Eruption right now, I think. Protect your Armor Rouge. This Torkoal can be able to pick up the knockout on Chien-Pao, and if not, maybe this is not a bad call, because then you can go ahead and just get rid of one of the two. But I think that was the safe play, because Armor Rouge is now a giant target on the field.
Armor Rouge does protect, takes the Crunch. Nice protect there from James.
Yeah. Flutter Mane staying asleep, and I think this is going to be a free Eruption here. There it is.
Indeed, it is the Eruption. That will absolutely finish off the Chien-Pao. A little bit of damage to the Flutter Mane as well, and it is just one very sleepy Flutter Mane remaining for Angel in game number 1 here.
And I think that's all you really need at this point. I mean, it really depends what the last Pokemon is. Even if it is Iron Hands, like, you're okay. You did use your Terra, and we know that Life Orb, Moonblast, even on Iron Hands, is not going to be able to pick up a knockout. So at this point, if you're James, you just chip the Flutter Mane with either Heat Waves, Expanding Force, or Flamethrower on Torkoal, or you switch out Armarouge and kind of, I guess, do a bait and switch there. NDD, yeah, that's smart. Because now you could just go in right away and start follow me, kind of let your Torkoal go down, or switch it out and follow me, and then one Expanding Force should be able to chip the rest of this Flutter Mane.
It also means that if there was a Shadow Ball heading towards the Armarouge, then it's immune.
Which there was.
This is a nice read there by James.
Yeah, that was definitely the safest play. And that Flamethrower, even though it's not in the sun, is still going to do about a third of what Flutter Mane had, and I think at this point you just follow me in Flamethrower, and that's pretty much the game.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that Angel can do about this at this point, and Angel will agree.
Yeah, there's the forfeit.
So James Velasquez wins game number 1.
So I think it's an interesting combo because this is one of those Torkoal and
if you are James, or if you are Angel, what do you do when you see that sun lead? What is your best answer to that sun lead that you have?
It's really tough, actually. I do think you kind of have to sacrifice one Pokemon.
In my experience, the best response to it is just overriding the weather in one way or another. And Angel doesn't have anything for that.
I know, that's why when we usually see teams that Angel is running, it's usually Torkoal in favor of the Iron Bundle set. I'm sorry, Torres instead of Iron Bundle.
Yeah.
So you've got the Rain Dance usually, and then you could just get rid of Torkoal. But I do think that this Iron Bundle is kind of the key here. I don't know if that's necessarily the greatest lead for Angel, but the reason I think Iron Bundle is the key is you have speed. And I would probably lead Arcanine Iron Bundle because you either get a Rock Slide off, which will chip enough to where Rillaboom can come in and Grassy Glide the remainder of that Lilligant's health, or you're able to get an Icy Wind and slow the Lilligant down, which definitely ensures that you're able to knock it out with a Freeze Dry on the next turn. Yeah, you're losing one of the two, most likely to either a Eruption or an Earth Power, but at the same time, they are now in a horrible spot. I do think, though, it's a bit risky of a play because if they do end up going, if James ends up going for Side Spam, then that Arcanine Iron Bundle combo not going to necessarily be the greatest, but I think we are going to see Flutter Mane and Chien-Pao, which, again, it didn't work the first time, and it just gives Lilligant a free Torkoal Eruption.
Yeah, and something that we mentioned before about this Arcanine, it's very bulky. It's Terra Dragon, Citrus Berry. You were looking at some of the stats, thought it looked pretty bulky in comparison to the average Arcanine that we'll see.
Yeah. And so I think bringing in Arcanine it's not actually a horrible situation, to be honest, either, because if you do lead Flutter Mane Chien-Pao, I think the strategy is to go for Ice Spinner right away on Lilligant. Oh, it's going to see Iron Hands Armarouge. Okay, well, never mind.
Armarouge this time. Now, something to note, this Armarouge does not have Trick Room.
Yeah.
The Trick Room is only on the Indeedee. The Armarouge has Expanding Force, Aura Sphere, and Heat Wave. Is the Chien-Pao and the Flutter Mane again for Angel?
Ooh, this is an interesting one. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we see a switch out into Indeedee on either one of James's Pokemon. It's a bit unpredictable lead because you don't usually lead that when the Armarouge doesn't have Trick Room. So you got to figure out, okay, which one's going to switch. Flutter Mane also a little bit at risk. It's probably going to live whatever Iron Hands is using. However, we do know this Iron Hands is Booster Energy. It's not Assault Vest, so
it's Booster Energy attack.
So that Moonblast may actually do enough to get rid of it. The thing is, if you kind of, and it's Terra Dark, so a Moonblast is going to do super effective damage. I don't really know if there's a way to stop that.
We will find out. Chien-Pao will swap out on Angel's side. Arcanine comes in, so that'll drop the Iron Hands' attack down, like the Booster Energy.
That is a nice position right now because you do have potentials for Rock Slide there.
Armarouge will be the one to swap out here.
There's that
into that Indeedee, as you mentioned.
The question is now, does Moonblast one-hit KO Iron Hands without Assault Vest? I don't think it does. It's a Life Orb, Flutter Mane. I think it's gonna come down to stats.
It'll be close.
It'll be very close. The Psychic Seed's definitely gonna help. Oh, it's a double switch. Okay.
Double switch. We'll see all 4 of James's Pokemon here.
It is Torkoal.
Torkoal is the last one.
That is not bad at all.
Psychic Terrain and a Sun coming up now.
I'm guessing this Moonblast will do about 30-ish, maybe 40 or 50? No, because it's got that Life Orb and Sun Boost. Oh, over 50.
Big damage from that. And drops the special attack for the Torkoal. That's a big special attack drop there.
I think Angel's in a good spot. You got Rock Slide, you can get rid of the Torkoal, you've got Dazzling if you want to be safe, but I would just Moonblast NDD. Potentially even just Terra Fairy Moonblast NDD, because I know from experience, if you're playing like max special defense and you've got the Sun and Life Orb, you don't, so that is like over the top, that is enough to knock out in one hit a standard in NDD with
even
a Moonblast.
Even through the Psychic Seed.
Yeah, even through the Psychic Seed. So you should be fine. I do think then you could just Rock Slide to pick up whatever damage you need to do. Gotta watch out a little bit if that Rock Slide misses on Torkoal, because it can Earth Power you and change the entire dynamic of this game by getting rid of the Arcanine, but it's a risk that I think is worth it, because you've got a 1 in 10 shot.
Especially down 1-0 right now. See the Terra coming out here.
Yeah, that Terra is definitely
the Terra Fairy Flutter Mane.
So you've got Life Orb, you've got the Sun Boost special attack thanks to Photosynthesis, and you got Terra Fairy. This is a insanely hard-hitting Flutter Mane. Oh, a Helping Hand on the Torkoal.
Helping Hand into the Torkoal.
I mean, that's an interesting call. The Moonblast does... Oh, it's a critical hit, but I think that didn't really matter. But the thing now comes down to, is this Rock Slide going to hit the Torkoal?
And will it do enough even if it hits? It does.
There you go.
It does indeed. The double knockout there for Angel.
Best case scenario there. I think that was the best case scenario for Angel, and I don't see this going any other way now, because this Iron Hands cannot fake out thanks to its own NDD Psychic Terrain. Armourouge can go for Expanding Force, but it is threatened by a single target Rock Slide potentially, because there's no way that Iron Hands is not going to live. The Iron Hands, it is not Assault Vest, and you're facing a very high power Flutter Mane, and it cannot redirect or protect. You just click Moonblast and get rid of it. This double protect though, or switch protect, is not horrible. Especially because Rillaboom can now reset and that Expanding Force is gone, but I still would have targeted... Oh, well, actually, never mind. If you're doing that, then the Fake Out is in play. So, good protect there on that Flutter Mane.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice neutral turn there for Angel. See the Terra from James now will be that Armourouge to the Psychic type. You had to make a play.
Yeah.
I feel like this battle's just over.
It's pretty much Angels to lose at this point. But that Psychic is going to help a little bit for Expanding Force, but...
It'll only be single target Expanding Force at this point. Lower damage, single target. Targeting the Flutter Mane, not going to get there. Those Iron Hands going for an attack. Drain Punch into that.
It's decent. Not really ton on the Iron Hands. I think this turn you fake out Armourouge, Moonblast, Iron Hands, and then... Yeah, it's... I mean, you can do it the other way around too. It doesn't really matter. But I specifically think that if you fake out Armourouge, it's just best to just Moonblast and double up onto the Iron Hands. It goes down. You could also Shadow Ball Armourouge instead, but yeah.
Take out onto the Iron Hands.
And there's that Moonblast.
And there is the Moonblast indeed. Picks up the knockout. Lots of damage there. Just one Armourouge remaining.
And it does have that Terra boost on Expanding Force, but it does not have the Psychic Terrain. And we know that Flutter Mane is relatively bulky, but at that health, it does actually pick up the knockout. It was a close one, but it does not pick up the knockout. It does survive, sorry. And that is huge, because Angel's free to just click Shadow Ball and win this matchup.
Yeah, and I don't think that James had much of a chance before. But definitely after it, I don't really see if that's happening. Grassy Glide with some good extra chip. And the Shadow Ball should finish that one out. And we'll head to game number 3. A nice turnaround from Angel there. James went with a different lead this time. Decided not to bring the Hisuian Lilligant at all. Went for the Iron Hands Armourouge and just didn't get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, I think that Sun lead is really threatening, specifically because nothing on Angel's team can outspeed that Lilligant in Sun. Besides extreme speed on Hisui Arcanine, but...
Yeah, other than, like, priority, there's nothing that outspeeds.
But even then, if you go for that, there's a way around it by just clicking Terra Ghost on turn 1, and then the Arcanine it's Terra Dragon, so it's solid Terra, but like there's not too much you can really do.
Yeah, even the priority options are all either extremely weak because Aquajet gets weakened in the sun, or doesn't hit at all through the Terra Ghost.
There's not much you can really do on this Logan, so I think right now you just kind of lead the same thing. I do think Angel is, I still think Arcanine is going to be the key if you go Sun, and I'd be very surprised if James doesn't lead Sun again. But yeah, I think you go same lead is fine, but then switch out the Flutter Mane turn 1 into Arcanine because you're going to expect an after you, and then you're able to just go for that Ice Spinner on Isui Logan, and then after that you can go for Sucker Punch plus Crunch onto the Torkoal. So yeah, but we're gonna see. Okay,
Armarouge this time.
I'm a bit surprised.
Lead. And on the other side, Chen Pao and Flutter Mane. So I kind of like the side spam lead here. Mostly, I think that
I don't know
either.
I feel like with Rillaboom looming in the back, that's not really that good. And one of these two is probably going to switch. Probably a Flutter Mane.
It's not great. I think if you're James, you really want to get Trick Room up in this scenario.
Yeah.
I think if you can get Trick Room up through whatever this turn, you feel a lot better, even if you get overwritten because you probably have the Torkoal in the back.
Yeah. It's a matter also of this NDD, by the way, it's Terra Grass, it's not Terra Fairy, so this Crunch is relatively safe, and I think comboing that plus a Moonblast may knock out the NDD right away, and then you got Rillaboom in the back to remove the terrain. So we are going to see that Terra on Armarouge to Psychic. A little scary there, and may be able to pick up that knockout on Flutter Mane, but it is definitely not going to be able to knock out this Chen Pao unless it goes for Helping Hand, Heat Wave plus a burn. But
Helping Hand, Heat Wave would be fascinating.
Yeah.
See the Helping Hand come out. Ice Spinner will be the choice into the Indeedee, perhaps predicting that Terrastal. Oh, and does take out the Psychic Terrain, importantly.
Moonblast doesn't quite pick up that
does not pick the knockout. That means Indeedee can swap out and swap back in to reset that. It is the
Helping Hand, Heat Wave. That was a smart play.
It picks up the knockout on Flutter Mane.
Oh,
with the
that
critical hit.
Did that matter is the question. And are we going to see a burn is another... I don't think we're going to see a burn, no. So this Chen Pao does live to see another turn, but that was a really good call. It was a bit of a risky call, but it was a really good call. And
yeah, still a huge turn there for James.
That may have turned the tide here. I mean, it's... The good news, though, is this Armarouge is kind of forced into a Protect. I personally think the ideal play is to switch into... Either go into Rillaboom and then switch right back out because you really want to preserve that grassy terrain. And that Indeedee is most likely going to like swap out. And then you just get a free Heat Wave here, which could do a lot of damage. I do think a Fake Out on Armarouge is not a bad call, though. It's most likely going to Protect because that Crunch is looming. So I think maybe Fake... I mean, what we saw with Angel's really not bad. It's just a tough position because you have to know that the Indeedee is going to switch out and switch back in, and then you've got a lot more pressure there. But the Crunch on Chen Pao is really nice. I have a feeling that Iron Hands to the back, and that's going to be very scary because a Fake Out will just ruin it, and then afterwards, maybe if you play your Protects right, you can make it that this Chen Pao does not get that Crunch off on the Armarouge.
Yeah, if it's Indeedee switching out into Iron Hands right now, it's actually a Follow Me from the Indeedee.
Let's
try to bait in some of the early damage here. We'll take the Grassy Glide first, so the Crunch will still come out, if it is the Crunch, into the Armarouge. Might have been a bit of a misplay there from James. It is the Crunch. It will knock out the Armarouge. That's a rough turn from James.
I think James was expecting that Grassy Glide not to happen, and was either expecting a Fake Out or something along, or maybe a switch back out.
I mean, that's what I'm curious, is that a Fake Out would have been similarly bad. It would have just been the Wood Hammer, the high horsepower, that would have been better.
Oh, and that is why you wanted your Indeedee out.
Okay. That definitely turns things a bit. Yeah, that's going to be rough to play around if you're James at this point.
Yeah, good luck, good luck, Angel. This is interesting. I think this Lilligant is in a really good spot here. I do think Angel brought out the right Pokemon, though, because switching to Arcanine would be very, very wise here, as well as that Terrafire on Rillaboom. Kind of makes it so Torkoal is in just the position to go for Earth Power. However, this Lilligant with close combat is quite scary, because it can do a lot of damage onto Arcanine.
Even at -1, it should do a lot of damage.
At least 50, I'd imagine. Although Lilligant maybe...
And you still have that Earth Power lingering around.
Yeah,
although the Terrastal is still available for Angel. Always have to keep that in mind.
And I think we're going to see it right now with Fire on Rillaboom. So, yeah, there it is. So, Earth Powers, you're definitely your move of choice now on Torkoal. But I think it's going to be kind of an interesting thing, because now the good news with this Rillaboom, it is susceptible to Sleep Powder. That's important. And if the switch into Arcanine was very, expected, okay, well, that's actually a wise play as well. I think we're going to see either Sleep Powder on this Arcanine, or possibly make that call right away. And
quick little grassy glide onto the Lilligant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Make that Rillaboom call. Really well played there.
Great call there from James on the Sleep Powder, and does connect the Sleep Powder. Very important. And yeah, at this point, I feel like after you Earth Power into Arcanine is pretty safe. Yeah?
Yeah, because either
it finishes off the Chen Pao, or it absolutely destroys that Arcanine.
I mean,
Arcanine can protect. But Rillaboom doesn't do anything.
No, but it's a wasting a sleep turn, which I think is very, very important here. Very valuable.
It is. And it wastes a Sun turn, which is also important.
Yeah.
It's the close combat into the Arcanine.
That's
It could be an Earth Power into the Rillaboom? Rillaboom? Takes its sleep turn.
Assume it is. Yeah, I would bet.
Ooh,
doubling
up onto the Arcanine. I don't like that.
No, I think you have to pick one or the other. Although
Earth Power should just tear that thing to shreds, right?
Oh yeah, I
Like,
think right now you're pretty safe to just go for after you Earth Power.
Yeah. Although the question is, do the double priority moves take down the Lilligant?
I don't.
Kinda close. I don't think so, but it's kind of close.
It will be close. There's that extreme
close.
speed. Yeah.
Extreme speed? I don't think it does. The Grassy Glide targets, and it doesn't wake up regardless.
So it doesn't really matter in that case.
I don't need to after you at that point.
No. Close combat doesn't quite pick up the knockout.
This is concerning, though, now for James, because Lilligant is on its last legs.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The after you, I think, was slightly better there, so you don't get that defense drop. And I'm pretty confident as Earth Power would have knocked out, because it is 4 times weak.
Yeah.
And we saw how much that close combat did at a -1 onto a relatively bulky Arcanine. So now this is the hard part. I still think Angel's in actually a solid position. This Chen Pao is going down. I mean, it may take a couple turns, but it is going down.
I guess the question is, what does it go down to?
Yeah. And then it also comes down to, it's going to be Earth Power versus High Horsepower, essentially. Both of them non-stab ground moves on another. However,
to another fire type.
Yeah. However, the important thing, I think right now you protect your Lilligant and just kind of, oh man, the thing is,
protect on Lilligant.
They don't. Okay, no, I don't know, because if this Grassy Glide hits, it's pretty much Angel's game.
Back on Chen Pao, Rillaboom wakes up.
There it is.
Grassy Glide does come out and connects onto the Lilligant.
That was super important, because
huge wake.
Oh yeah. Now this Torkoal has to wait. Yeah, it can Earth Power, but now it is the slowest Pokemon on the field without any speed boost opportunity, and has to waste another turn of a move that's not gonna chip Rillaboom, specifically just to knock out the Chen Pao. And I think that wake up turn is exactly what Angel needed to win this game.
Exactly. See now the crunch. Decent damage. Little over a third. High horsepower finishes it off.
And Angel is going to win round 1 here. Very, very close game. I think it was an interesting strategy. I commend James for going for that Trick Room lead, although I think leading with Sun is just really scary against a team that doesn't have weather control or speed control. And I think that by trying to experiment with the Trick Room, like I said, very good try, but I think it was that Lilligant and Torkoal that was the star of the team. That was really what you needed to lead with.
Yeah, we saw so much in game number 1 how it was able to control the entire flow of the battle around it. That's the power of that lead, that duo. And I just didn't see that after game number 1,
Yeah.
and I think that's why James kind of fell behind in that.
Yeah, but it is still round 1. James still has a chance to pick up 4 more wins and end up in top cut. Angel got a really good start there with 1 win, and we'll be back very soon because it looks like most of the players are pretty much done with round 2. Stick around.